Welcome back to True Story with John Gibson. Today's guest is Al Snow. Al, thank you so much for joining me.
Well, thank you very much for having me. I really do appreciate it.
Completely my pleasure. So I have maybe a million questions I could ask you, but I'll limit it to 2 or 3. Hopefully you haven't heard a million times already answered. But first and foremost, I want to kind of address something I read recently. It was this summer, and I'd read something about a young man, I guess, had gotten in an accident on the beach or like caught an undertow, rip waist, something like that. But like literally you came to the rescue, and I just wanted to learn more about that because I read it briefly and then I couldn't find any more information. But can you elaborate kind of what happened there?
Yeah, my wife and I we went down to Destin, Florida, just to kind of get away for a couple of days. And what's really funny, or ironic, I guess you could say, is that we weren't even supposed to be there. It was on a Thursday, and typically on Thursdays I have to be at OVW because we do TV on Thursdays. We do live television, so I'm there to produce and direct and kind of supervise. And yeah, we were in Destin. We got down there like on Monday, and we went to the beach on Tuesday, and then Wednesday there was a tropical storm that came in. It was really pretty severe, and it had churned up the water pretty heavy. And so I had talked to my wife. I'm like, we're not going to get back in time. Let's just stay on Thursday. We'll leave on Friday. We'll get one more day at the beach. And it was fate that I happened to be there, I guess, at the right place at the right time. And it had worked out to everybody's concerns well. I was in the water. There was a place, it was on the beach, lifeguard was there, had cordoned off a section of the beach, saying that the water was where there was riptides and flowing, and they kind of, where these cones were set up was a swath of the water that they didn't want you to go into, and she was stationed right there. And I was standing in the water quite a ways away, probably a football field or a football field and a half away, and when I noticed a little boy was screaming for help, and he had happened to float over into that water and was swimming frantically, panicking. And the only way I can describe it is if somebody had tied a rope to his foot and was just pulling him out to sea. He could not, and I mean, he was going pretty quickly, like something had caught a hold of him and was just pulling him out. And he was terrified. I saw the mother get up and run down the beach, and she was screaming for somebody to help. And nobody was moving, so I just took off, and I kind of ran through the water as fast as I could, and I got there and caught him by the wrist just as he was about to. If he'd have gone any further, I mean, there would have been we'd have been at a point of no return. You know what I mean? It would have definitely been even that much more dangerous to try to get a hold of him. I got a hold of him, pulled him to me, and as soon as I did, we got taken under the water, and the strength of that rip current was incredible. I dug my feet into the sand in the bottom and just pushed as hard as I could forward and up again, and got out of the water and made it far enough inland to where the water was not as deep and wasn't as strong, and I handed him off to the lifeguard. She was a tiny little girl, and handed him off to her, and then I went and cut diagonally back across the water to the beach. I got up on the beach to my wife, and then the adrenaline wore off, and I just kind of was like, oh God.
Yeah. My heart raced as you detailed that. Man, that's terrifying. It's utterly terrifying, but thank God you're there. You're a real life hero. I mean, that is.
I didn't do anything that anybody else wouldn't do. I was in the right place at the right time, and obviously for the right reason. And because like I said, we wouldn't even have originally been there that day. And if I had to been there that day, no telling. I mean, he might have gotten swept completely out to sea, which he almost did.
Yeah. So thank you for detailing that. It's an amazing story. Unbelievable. Switching gears completely a little bit, but completely. I don't know how to do that tactfully, but without just
not an easy segue to
no way.
And on another note,
and then the news. Exactly. So So, and I wanted to do some more research to come prepared for this because I felt like, I mean, I grew up in WWF and WWE is in fandom. You know, I was born in 1983, so I grew up with it all the way through the Attitude Era as a teenager, then the Aggression Era, and so I really grew up with you, Al. And then with that, it wasn't until I went backwards and did some research. Your career you're still active wrestler, you know, owner of OVW, doing cards, but your in-ring like career was very long and vast, which I was unaware of. And there were gaps in there where you were doing some amazing stuff that, again, I wasn't as aware as I thought. And like, I'll just give examples like Avatar. I didn't know you were Avatar until yesterday. I was like, that was him. How did I not know that? You know?
Right.
So,
yeah.
It's just amazing. But I'll say that to say this. This is my question, I guess. A lot of the recurring theme is this: you're a martial artist. You've always been a martial artist. It's come up, and then you've obviously taken that throughout real life. But I'm interested in knowing, like, with your roots as a young man, did you want to pursue martial arts or pro wrestling first? Because I feel like they've always been married synergistically for you.
They kind of have, and I got interested in martial arts and pursued it for a while, but once I got bit by the wrestling bug, that was it. I made the decision that I was going to be a wrestler, and there was no other. That was it. That was all it was going to be. I was gonna do it come hell or high water. So I tell people all the time, I really honestly have no real talent. I mean, the only talent I have is I just don't give up. So that was what allowed me to have a career. You know what I mean? I just wouldn't quit.
Well, you definitely were persistent, and you were so busy. I mean, you were everything from like working with Jim Cornette and Rocky Mountain, right? And then all the way Smoky Mountain, right? And then your ECW, and then back to WW. Like, you were someone who did not quit. You persisted for sure. I remember I'm a real fan. I remember buying VHS tape from WWE-ish, WWE, and it was before they were stars, and you would tell stories about performing in a gymnasium, you know, and just because you had the passion, and it was so inspiring. But you are being way too self-deprecating, because one, it takes a real talented person to be able to withstand the brutality you put on your body all those years. So you had to have finesse and talent in what you were doing. But also, Al, you were like the most underrated. Like, you're comical, and not even when you were doing comical, you were a good speaker. You would do, like, in the Job Squad, you would do nuanced stuff. And I just noticed this going back and revisiting as an adult, where I'm like, man, like, he was there the whole time. Like, he was there. I mean, can you share kind of maybe what it was like you got these kind of mini pushes, and then you would kind of go back and then mini push. What was that like?
I was just, I didn't fully take advantage of the opportunities that were presented to me. And as a result, I was always, featured on TV in one way or another.
Yeah.
And probably pretty prolifically too. I mean, if you go back and, almost every week I was on TV, both Raw, SmackDown, Sunday Night Heat, Saturday Night Velocity. I was utilized quite a lot, and I think it was just I had the wrong focus, because in the wrestling industry, in the wrestling business, it's no different than any other form of entertainment, and that is that it's not about being a wrestler's wrestler. It's about being a great attraction. Everything that's basically, I'm an entrepreneur, and my business, my product is me. And, I didn't capitalize on those opportunities to their fullest extent. And as a result, it didn't give the creative side enough ammo or enough fuel to continue to do things to generate more opportunities to be on TV. That was just what had happened. And I struggled with that for a lot of years, pointing the finger at everybody else, associating blame and responsibility, when really I should have earlier on pointed the finger at myself, because I'm the only person in life I can control. And, once I got that understanding, that was where things started to change. Granted, I still made a lot of mistakes, but
sure.
And didn't capitalize on a lot of opportunities that I really could have and should have, to the extent that I wanted to. But it also gave me the opportunity to understand that, to have that insight. You know, when I resumed training, instructing young professional wrestlers, when I became part of the developmental program in down here in Louisville for WWE, you know, that was where a lot of the light bulbs finally clicked on for me, and I would be teaching the younger generation and be going, oh, that's where I made the mistake. Oh, I did that. Oh, that was me. Yeah. You know, as I was telling them not to do something, I realized I did those very same things. So.
You know, it's interesting you said that. It was almost my next question, but do you feel like I feel like the answer from a fan perspective is yes, but I would love to know your perspective. Do you feel that like the Tough Enough series was a turning point for you? Because when you took on that mentor role as a fan, I knew you with Head and being crazy and the hardcore champ and these wacky matches. And again, you were doing moonsaults. You were always super athletic. So like I loved your matches. But then when you took on this mentor role and you were speaking softly and you were like the calm to Bob Holly over here, you know, man, like it totally redefined you to me. And it was this father figure role and stuff that, I mean, to me, that was what I took away from that as a fan. You know, did you maybe share that experience for you? Was it more than cathartic, you know, when you were telling these young men and women like, yeah,
I was very, you know, it's probably one of the things I'm most proud of, and it definitely was a defining moment for my career, in the sense that it took me in a whole new direction. It opened up a way that people could perceive me in a different manner. You know, and I wasn't just the crazy guy anymore. You know, I was you know, I was a trainer, and I was a father figure, and, you know, mentor. And I tell everybody, like, I was, you know, like they'd see Bob Holly and Taz and Bill DeMott, and they were, you know, they were like, oh, those guys are the bad guys. And I was like, I was the real bad guy, because like I was like a juicer. I just kept squeezing and squeezing and pushing, because I really desperately want each one of those kids to succeed, you know, and the only way they're going to is if I push them. And, you know, Taz and Bob and Bill were kind of like the blenders. You know, they'd show up and they'd and then they'd kind of settle down. And so it was a good balance between them and you know, me being a little more just slowly pressing, pushing, and them coming in and chewing them up real quick and just gnawing them up.
Yeah, you know? No, what a great analogy. Is there a particular experience or achievement in your wrestling career that you hold like particularly fond of? I mean, is it a championship? Is it just a trip to a country? Is there something that you're like, man, this is something I reflect on and you're like, you feel proud of?
I feel proud of all of it. I feel proud and very blessed and fortunate that I've had the career that I've had. You know, I've done. I tell people all the time that if it wasn't for wrestling, I wouldn't have gone the places I've gone. I wouldn't have seen the things I've seen, done the things I've done, met the people I've met. You know, I've been in, I think, 38 or 39 different countries. I've been on every continent in the world except for Antarctica. I was the fight director for a Pulitzer Prize winning play called The Elaborate Entrance of Chad Deity. You know, I've wrote a book. You know, I'm in a comic book. I've had action figures, been in video games. I've done things that most people, and seen things that most people only hear about or see about on the internet. And that's all because of being a professional wrestler. You know, all about making that decision when I was 14 years old and never giving up. And I, you know, people ask me that all the time, like, is there one favorite match, or is there one favorite opponent, or is there one favorite moment? And I got to just say that it's all been incredible. It's been an amazing ride, and I just feel very, very fortunate and blessed to have gotten the chance to do it.
It's beautiful, and it's so wonderful to hear that you're able to have, I mean, to be able to have that perspective, because so many people just in life don't feel career like fulfilled from a career. You know, it's not something.
I think that's because I think, and I didn't mean to cut you off.
No,
I
please.
apologize, but
No, please.
I think lately I've seen that it's because most people pursue a career or whatever with a destination in mind. It's a very destination minded. It's got to be, well, okay, well, I'm going to make it to this particular signpost, and then now I've been successful,
Right.
you know. And if they don't ever really make it to that signpost, or you know, they could have had the greatest trip anybody could ever imagine, you know, the greatest career ever, but they will never be satisfied because they didn't make it to that destination, you know. And and then with, unfortunately, they make it to that destination a lot of times and they go, okay, well, that was all right, but now I got a new destination in mind, and so they're never truly happy.
Yeah, that fulfillment, that self-realization never comes, or that fulfillment, right? Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Where did you get that perspective, that like journey perspective? That what I mean, it kept you on your path. I mean, where was that something you were raised with? Were your parents encouraging of like dream chasers?
Well, I don't know about that. I mean, my dad was supportive. He was like, well, if you want to go do it, you know, that type of thing. My mother, when I first told her I wanted to be a professional wrestler, was like, what, are you trying to kill me? And I was like, no, if I were trying to kill you, I'd push you down the stairs, and you live in a ranch style house. So there's no stairs and there's no basement. So you're safe.
Yeah.
You know, but if you ever move,
I might keep in mind, Mama.
Yeah, might get you. But no, I mean, I think as years have went by and introspection and reflection, you know, I realized just how really lucky I've been to get to do something like this and do it as long as I've done it. You know, I've been able to continue to pull the wool over everybody's eyes and make them believe I actually know what the hell I'm doing. So,
man, you're being so self-deprecating. Yeah, but to that end, can you share a little bit more about your role with OVW, and obviously the Christmas card coming up? But I mean, everything from that. I mean, you know, obviously you share a passion for training, but there's a lot more than just training wrestlers when it comes into regards to promoting and promotions, right?
Yeah.
So can you share more about like your life today? Is that
Yeah. Well, I'm part owner of OVW and CEO, and you know, in OVW, what I do is I operate the training school alongside with the promotion itself. They're very synergistic. They work well together, and help develop new talent. You know, we film television on Thursday nights. Every Thursday night we air it live. We, outside of WWE and AEW, we're the only other promotion, I think, that still do live television. And you know, we're the longest running locally produced episodic television show in the history of television.
It's amazing.
I think we're on episode 1160 tonight or something around there. And you know, it's I write, I'm head of the creative, I write the TV, I produce it, I direct it. There are a lot of other great, you know, staff that work with me and really help me out. Thank God. You know, and I try to reacquaint the talent with the real art, and it is a real art form of professional wrestling, which is just physical storytelling within the context of a competitive situation.
Yes.
You know, I'm trying to build a platform that where the young talent can gain experience and polish and be prepared to be able to capitalize on opportunities with bigger, larger platforms. And then I'm trying to build at the same time a platform where wrestlers who have had a run and opportunity on a larger platform, and of course at some point it always comes to an end.
Sure.
A place where they can come and they can still make a living being a professional wrestler and reinvent themselves and get another opportunity at another run on a much larger platform again, and you know, and offer what looks on a national level as far as production and talent to a regional area, and that can afford it on a regional budget.
Right.
It's WWE is WWE. It's amazing, but not everybody can afford to pay hundreds of dollars for a front row seat at Raw or SmackDown. Right. And where for us, it's not gonna cost 15, let alone 115.
Sure.
So they can afford to bring their family and bring their kids, and and that's one thing I think I've found, especially since coming on this side of the fence and owning a wrestling company, is the number of people that come up to oh, I used to watch wrestling with my dad or with my mom or with my grandmother, and we'd watch it on TV, or they'd take us to the shows, at the Louisville Gardens every Tuesday night, things like that. This is an opportunity to try to create those same memories for another generation. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, awesome. I'm so glad that you're doing it, and that these younger folks can kind of sit under the learning tree, and share and learn from some of your amazing experiences. But then, like you said, it gives other wrestlers opportunity to reinvent themselves, and you're serving an audience. And man, I love how you said that. There's nothing to me, but I'm a fan, so I'm biased, but there's nothing more like Americana about a wrestling match, and it's fun. And it's different in person. It's like any sport, like a football game or hockey. In person, it gets more exciting, but wrestling is so different in person. You can't help but get pulled into it. And there's nothing I've enjoyed. I've only had the experience a couple times, but I've taken my wife and I took an old girlfriend who were not fans. And I never enjoyed more seeing by the end of the night, they're rooting for a baby face or for a heel. And I'm like, you love it, right? Like, this is great.
Yeah.
And
it's get caught up in it. We just recently, like a year and a half ago, we had worked together in conjunction with the Susan G. Komen of Kentucky organization, for breast cancer. And the lady, beautiful lady, she's like the executive director, and she's an older lady. She's probably mid to late 60s, maybe somewhere. I don't know. I don't want to guess at her age. I don't want to insult her I don't want her to insult her. She's an older lady, and we did a joint show. Did a show to help raise funds for the Cancer Society. And then we were doing our annual Christmas Chaos show, like what we're doing this next Thursday. And she showed up and she was like, hey, I don't want you to bother, but could I get tickets to watch? She said, since I got involved, I have fallen in love. I never watched wrestling before, and I've fallen in love with the wrestling and with the wrestlers, and I don't ever miss an episode of the show. And
I love it.
And I was like, I mean, that's the greatest compliment that
absolutely
you can get, is that that you've won over another person because they really enjoy it for what it is, and are having fun and are being entertained. You know what I mean?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Man, Al, thank you so much again for your time. Where's the best place people can reach you to learn more about maybe OVW or even social media if they have questions for you directly?
Well, on social media, I'm at The Real Al Snow, because there were some fakes out there. And,
oh no!
Hey, if you're gonna be an imposter of a celebrity, I'd just say aim the bar higher. Shoot for like Brad Pitt or George Clooney or something.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. So The Real Al Snow on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, whatever else is out there. And if you want to check out OVW, you can go to ovwrestling.com, and we're on Fight TV, which is a Fight TV app on your phone, and it goes all over the world. I think they have about 6 million subscribers. Every Thursday night, 7 p.m. Eastern time to 9 p.m. Eastern time. So we do a live 2-hour broadcast, and you can check it out. And if anybody's interested in the training school, go to aswa.live, and we've got more information on that there as well.
Perfect. Thank you, Al. And I'll include all the links for each one of those and subsequently in the posts. Thank you so much for your time again.
Thank you.
True story, John Gibson and Al Snow.